The Welfare Reform Minister, Lord Freud, has offered a full and unreserved apology for suggesting that some people with disabilities should be paid less than the minimum wage.
He's been removed from some ministerial duties today, but Labour have called for him to resign. Joining us now is Stephen Rigby, who has cerebral palsy. Has been employed for the past 33 years, and from our Westminster studio, Sam Bowman from the Adam Smith Institute. So, if we could start, Stephen, with you. Very good morning to you.
Morning.
So you're going straight from here, aren't you, to work?
To work
this morning?
I work for a company in Wigan, Red Rock Document Processing, yeah.
Right, and just so we know, you're paid the minimum wage or above the minimum wage?
Just above the minimum wage, yeah.
And tell me, what did you make of what you heard when you heard those comments from Lord Freud?
I was absolutely astounded that a minister could come out with a statement of that nature. You know, a welfare minister. Obviously, the wording is totally wrong. You know, just alone.
What do you think the message was that it sends out? And he has, I mean, it has to be said that he's issued a full apology, and he said, you know, he should have said those things, and that's been accepted by the Prime Minister. But even given that, do you think there's a danger it sends some kind of a message, or what's the damage done?
Well, I think it sends out a message of he doesn't understand what people with learning disabilities are able to do within a workplace. I've worked with people with learning disabilities for 25, 30 years, and they've contributed just as much as anyone else in the workplace.
Let's talk to Sam Bowman, who Research Director at the Adam Smith Institute. Sam, I just want to take a look at the question that was asked to Lord Freud. He was asked whether it was preferable for someone with a disability who couldn't get a job to be paid less than the minimum wage, have their income topped up with benefits in order to give them the experience of work and boost their self-esteem. So the idea being projected perhaps has been lost because of these unfortunate comments. Your reaction?
That's right. I think there's no doubt that Lord Freud mischose his words, and I can understand very obviously why people are upset about what he said. But the basic point is this. Less than half of people with a disability are in work. Only 12% of people with learning difficulties are in work. And the reason for this is it's very hard to employ them without making a loss if you're a private firm. Some private firms still do, and it's very good when they do, and I think we as consumers should celebrate that. But for those that can't get jobs but want to, and we have lots and lots of evidence that work, even if it doesn't pay that much, is very enriching to the lives of people with learning difficulties, for example. What Lord Freud, I think, was considering, or what was being suggested, was that they be allowed to work for less than the minimum wage, but have that topped up by the taxpayer or by the state. That's a way of making sure that they still have the basic standard of living that they need, that we as a society decide that they need, but still also make sure that they're able to get into work. Because otherwise, if we expect firms to do this, they're simply not going to be able to hire these people. And the evidence shows that.
Yeah, Stephen, do you want to react?
I can only go back 2 years ago when this government closed Remploys. There was over 2,000 people that actually lost their jobs, all numerous disabilities straight across the board. And now the government want to start getting these people back into work, but along with this scheme that Lord Freud has come up with. I just think it's backtracking again.
But the principle that's being made is that for some businesses it's uneconomic to employ people who they believe are less able or less productive than able-bodied people in comparison. So to encourage these people into work, that the government should help them so that those who are disabled, as Sam said, I think a significant portion are not in work of disabled people. So that's the idea, that's the incentive, to incentivise businesses.
I understand that, but when you go for an interview, and I've been through this myself, straight away you instinctively know from the body language, from answers that they may ask you, you know, that you're not going to get the job. If an able-bodied person comes in at the back of you, you instinctively know that the employer isn't going to take you into the, you know, workplace. It's really hard to explain to someone who hasn't gone through that. Lots of my friends that were made redundant 2 years ago are still redundant to this, are still unemployed to this day. Not because they don't want to work, because I know that they're going to lots of interviews. It's just that, you know, they're at an age, some of them are 50 plus, and the employers don't want to employ people of that age.
Yeah, Sam, it's very difficult, this, isn't it? Because there's an emotional argument you can hear, and a practical one, that people like Stephen are dealing with, literally, in terms of getting a job. And then you were talking about the economic argument, but it could end up being an excuse for people not taking on disabled people or paying them properly.
Well, Remploy was mentioned there, and actually I think Remploy is a really good example of why we need to think of reforms like this. Remploy, I think, was a really good project, and I think it was a real mistake to shut so many Remploy factories down. But when Remploy was shut down, Labour and lots of people, I think quite rightly, pointed out that many of the people working in these factories were a struggle to find jobs in the private sector, because essentially Remploy was just a state version of what Lord Freud was talking about. Really, it was just state subsidies for people so that they can have this kind of meaningful work in their lives. What Lord Freud was discussing, and what I think we should be thinking about, is let's just do this through private firms. We don't have these factories anymore. I think that was probably a mistake, but now we are where we are, and let's let this happen through private firms, because we know it's so important for people with learning difficulties and with severe disabilities to be able to work. It makes such a difference to their quality of life. And where we are right now, I think, has a lot of people. I mean, we're talking 88% of people with learning difficulties not able to find work, many of whom probably want to. And that's, I think, a real problem that we have to think about. And that's a practical problem. It's not just about the message that we want to send.
Sam, thank you very much. Sam Bowman is Research Director at the Adam Smith Institute. Stephen, thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you. 19 minutes past 7. You are watching